Walk into someone's home and the space is immaculate. Not clinical, considered. Every surface is clear. The cushions are straight. The kitchen doesn't have the particular kind of accumulated clutter that most kitchens quietly gather over time. There's a sense that this place is maintained, that someone chose it to look this way. Most people assume this person has too much time on their hands, or too rigid a personality, or that they simply haven't had enough life happen to them yet to make a mess. What they're actually looking at is a particular relationship between a person and their environment. And once you understand what's behind it, you'll see it very differently. Because a clean home is almost never just about the home. It's about what the home represents, or what it regulates. The most well-documented explanation connects to one of the 5 core personality dimensions: conscientiousness. People high in conscientiousness tend to be organized, disciplined, detail-aware, and proactive about their environment. Keeping a clean home is one of the strongest behavioral expressions of this trait. For these people, an orderly space isn't a performance, it's the natural output of the way their mind already operates. But there's something else happening beyond personality. The environment talks back. Research from Princeton Neuroscience Institute found that physical clutter competes directly for attentional resources, the same limited bandwidth your brain uses to focus, think, and regulate emotion. A cluttered space isn't neutral, it's actively pulling on your cognitive load. For people who have discovered, through lived experience, that a clean space helps them function better, the cleaning isn't a ritual, it's maintenance. That sense of relief when a space is ordered isn't imaginary. It has a measurable neurological basis. The environment doesn't just reflect your state, it shapes it. When your space is orderly, your behavior in that space tends to match it. When it isn't, your behavior, without you necessarily noticing, tends to drift toward the chaos. The physical environment sets an internal standard. People who keep clean homes understand this, sometimes consciously and sometimes not. They're not just cleaning the house. They're reinforcing a set of conditions that support the person they're trying to be. For some people, a clean home is an act of control in a life that doesn't offer much of it. Research on perceived control consistently shows that maintaining order in small, manageable domains, a made bed, a clear counter, a tidy desk, can measurably reduce anxiety about larger things that can't be controlled. Illness, finances, relationships, uncertainty. The clean home becomes a jurisdiction. I may not be able to control what happens out there, but I can control what this looks like. The act of cleaning is also the act of regulating. And for some people, it's the most accessible form of psychological self-regulation they have. A significant portion of people with very clean homes trace it to their childhoods. Some grew up in rigidly ordered households where cleanliness was an expectation, a standard enforced from the outside, consistently and early. They internalized that standard so completely that it now operates without effort. It doesn't feel like discipline, it just feels like how things should be. Others, and this is the one that surprises people, grew up in chaos. Unpredictability, disorder, instability. The clean home they maintain as an adult isn't replication, it's reparation. An ordered space that represents the safe, stable environment they didn't have. This is where the psychology gets more interesting, because there are 2 very different profiles that produce the same immaculate home. The first is driven by anxiety, specifically a fear of judgment. The house must be clean because it reflects on you, because someone might see it, because if it isn't, something about that feels shameful. This person cannot fully relax in their own home. They're always monitoring. The clean home is a defensive structure, not a sanctuary. The second profile is driven by values, a genuine aesthetic preference, a love of order. A sense that maintaining the space is an act of self-care rather than self-defense. Both profiles produce the same clean house. The inner experience is completely different. There's also the cleaning as regulation pattern, one that cuts across both profiles. Research consistently shows that cleaning behaviors spike during periods of stress. When people feel overwhelmed, out of control, or emotionally congested, they clean. Not because the house needs it, because the act of bringing physical order to a manageable space temporarily reduces the sensation of internal disorder. If you've ever reorganized a drawer when you were anxious, or scrubbed a surface when a difficult conversation was coming, you know exactly what this is. Many people who keep very clean homes also carry a heightened awareness of what their space says about them to others. The home becomes an extension of the self, a statement about who you are and what you value. When they invite someone over, they're not simply sharing a space, they're revealing something. The cleaning before guests arrive isn't just practical preparation, it's a kind of self-presentation, the home as resume. And unlike a resume, no one explicitly asked for it. It gets curated anyway. But here's the honest part. Not every clean home is a psychological story. Some people simply like order. The environment feels better to them when it's tidy, and they maintain it because it makes life feel more pleasant and functional. They clean the way other people exercise or cook because it's genuinely enjoyable and because the output improves their day. Personality isn't always trauma. Sometimes a clean house is just a clean house. What the science does confirm is that for people who consistently feel better in clean spaces, there's something real behind that preference. The environment and the mind are in ongoing conversation. And people who keep clean homes have found a way to manage that conversation in their favor. The preference isn't a personality quirk. It's a sophisticated and largely unconscious form of self-management. There's one more layer worth naming. For many people who maintain clean homes, the space reflects a quiet kind of self-regard, not vanity, something quieter than that. A belief that the environment you inhabit is worth caring for, that you are worth a cared-for environment, that the space where you rest, think, and recover deserves the same attention you give to everything else. This is, when it isn't driven by anxiety, one of the most understated expressions of self-respect you'll find in someone's private life. So the next time you walk into someone's immaculate home and feel whatever it is you feel, consider what you might actually be seeing. Not rigidity, not a phobia, not someone with too much time. A mind that has found its anchor point in the physical world. A person who has learned that the state of their space and the state of their inner life are connected, and who decided that connection was worth taking care of.